What is going on, guys? Hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a good day, good evening. Today, we're going to be talking about this interesting subject. Arcade1Up cannot buy a Vowel. What does that mean? What are we talking about? Now, a while ago, earlier in this year, we saw Arcade1Up come out with these casino Cade machines, and we haven't really heard much about that since that announcement. In fact, Arcade1Up has had a couple live streams where they're doing some updates, and there hasn't really been much information about this casino Cade. Now, first of all, I want to preface that the casino Cade is not something I'm really interested in getting. Here it is. This is what we think it's going to look like based on the initial renders that came out from Arcade1Up early in this year. But like, for example, I went to an auction today that was filled with full-size arcade machines, and the casino machines that they had there went for like $1. You know, when it comes to, you know, arcade machines and the nostalgia that comes from it, I don't recall being 10 years old and going up to a casino and being like, that's what I want to play. But that's just me. That's just me, right? I can see you in the chat right now saying, what is Justin talking about? You're like, no. There's when you grow up, you play casino. That's what you're doing. You gamble, and now we want to bring that to our home. I guess I can understand your situation, but what are we talking about tonight? I saw this because I was busy all day today. Then I go on to Facebook, and I see that Lewis Chambers from the official Arcade1Up Facebook group releases, and this is hard to understand. Deepdiscounts.com is a real website. That's right, deepdiscounts.com evidently is not a scam, and they're here to tell you about the Wheel of Fortune Casino Cade. Now, my buddy B-Kong is in the chat here, and he told me that the Wheel of Fortune is the Street Fighter of the casino world. I don't even know what to call it. You know, the casino landscape. Like, they're the Street Fighter. So if you're gonna do it right, if you're gonna do like a casino Arcade1Up machine, you're gonna do Wheel of Fortune. But I'd say if you're gonna do a casino Cade, then you should spell it correctly. And this is, you probably thinking, really? Justin did a live stream just because there's a listing on the website, it's misspelled. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is why it hasn't been released. Right there is your answer. I bet John D's in the chat. He's like, oh, Justin's calling us out for calling it a casino Cade. A casino Cade. They can't buy a Vowel. That's what I'm saying. Oh, no, now you're about to leave? You're about to leave because like, it's sarcastic Justin coming on for a late night live stream, and he's talking about Wheel of Fortune Casino Cade, and it's not spelled correctly. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Listen closely. We heard on the one update that there was a problem with this machine, and the problem was with the name. That's right. We're dropping some real information tonight, putting some points together. If Arcade1Up has a problem releasing it, it's probably because the name, they couldn't get it trademarked. Casino Cade perhaps already has a trademark, or there's some issue with the, so they're like, we're thinking of calling it something different. And how ironic is it that they're calling it a Casino Cade and it's missing a vowel, hence the name of this video. Arcade1Up cannot buy a vowel. I rest my case. There you go. Wheel of Fortune, if you still want it, won't have that A. So I'm starting the petition, and I know I'm gonna get people to get behind me on this one, especially Console Fanboy. No A, no buy. That's right. I've said it. If we don't get the A, John D, you better listen up right now. If we do not get the A on the Casino Cade, that's right. A lot of people say, this is what I'm talking about. No A, no pay. That's right. We ain't falling for it anymore. No more. That's right. No more. No more buying Arcade1Ups that aren't spelled correctly. No. No. No A, no pay. I like that even better. Carl has it figured out. Say it with me. No A, no pay. I mean, look at this thing. Besides, like, how is this even gonna work, guys? It's coming out in August. You do this every time, Arcade1Up. You announce it. When did you announce it? In January. In January. Don't worry, kids. You'll have it by August. That's what we do. And we get them every time. We drop it down there and we tell them, it'll come out, kids. It'll come out. And then we pull it from them. And we say, sorry, there's a trademark and we can't do it. All right, guys. Now here's the deal. Here's the deal. I wanted to hang out with you for a night. I thought, man, I could do a live stream right now, but I'm not really sure what topic I will talk about. And the first thing that came to my mind was, dang, Arcade1Up can't buy a vowel. That's a good title for a clickbait video. That's a good title for an article. Imagine you see a headline on some website that says Arcade1Up can't buy a vowel. You're going to read that article, right? Because that's a Wheel of Fortune. You see what I'm doing there? You see? Right now, John D's watching. He's like, man, Justin's a genius at marketing. He's a genius. Too bad he's making a hate video on it. No, I'm not hating. I'm having fun. I'm having fun. That's what I'm talking about. We come into the chat. We hang out for a little bit. And we laugh. And we go, what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is Arcade1Up has a casino Cade coming out. But it might be called something else. But who cares? It comes out in August. And if you like it, you'll buy it. And if you don't, you won't. And that's the end. Now I want to hear what you guys say in the chat. Now, let's not... I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're like, I'm going to tell you... This is you guys in the chat right now. You're like, okay, Justin, this is what I think. You're a loser. Why did you wake us up in the middle of the night to do a clickbait title about how Arcade1Up, with your stupid title, can't buy a vowel? What is wrong with you? You're obsessed with yourself. Your wife is right. You just like hearing yourself talk. That's what you're thinking, right? Oh, there it is. See? Kevin's already on it. Kevin's already talking about it right now, right? He's like talking about guitars or something, looking for people that can write code for the software products. No, this has nothing to do with 1UP, but you would be great. This is because you're a musician. Oh, really? That's cool. You know, there was a time I applied for a job at Line 6 when I was in my mid-20s because I lived in the area. And I was legit trying to get a job at Line 6. And I was filling out the application. This is before I became a software engineer. So I was like, I got skills of soldering. You know, I can take apart like a radio and put it back together again, recap it. I can do all that stuff. I need to learn circuits, but you can teach me that, right? I want to learn that. Like, instead of this entry-level job at Line 6, and I didn't get it. Man, imagine if my career would have went that way at Line 6. I could work for Fender right now. But no. Anyone know? Seriously, guys. I don't want to blow out, any of your hopes and dreams with the Casino Cade. That's not my intent. My intent was just to make a joke about how that's missing an A. But I really do, honestly, want to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Is this something you're still interested in? Like this Casino Cade, is this something that you've been waiting for all year? My channel hasn't really been talking about it because there hasn't really been much news on the Casino Cade. But is Wheel of Fortune the right title? Can you wait till August? Should this come out sooner? What do you think about that $500 price point? It looks like it's going to be considered a deluxe cabinet. They just, I guess, shortened it because they ran out of space. They're like, man, we don't have enough room for these titles, so we'll just do DLX. But keep in mind, at CES, this is what we were looking at. And here, I'll be frank with you. This is the problem that I had with this machine when we first started hearing about it. This particular version, $499 was the price point, but it kind of just looks like a partycade. But it's a little worse than the partycade because it's got a stand, okay. So this is a new thing. It's got a stand. But then the screen, it's got two screens. But I think this is a 10-inch screen and then like an 8-inch screen. And so, but what we've learned later is there's going to be lights around the frame of the machine. So although that's a, very small screen, maybe only 10 inches or so, it'll flash lights on the side. So if the screen did fill up the whole thing, you wouldn't have the room for the lights, I guess. I'm not really sure. So the next comment we have is, I love how the drinks come in at the end of the rant. It's like a bow to the ties this up all together. Cheers. Yeah, I was like, I don't think I've really been drinking. I know what you're thinking. Justin's being crazy because he's been drinking. I mean, technically, I did have a drink earlier, but I don't feel drunk. I just feel excited to talk about casino cades, right? I mean, it's a pretty interesting topic. The casino cade needs a pull lever. No pull lever, no buy. Jason's got it figured out. Jason's got this figured out. Justin got here. What did I miss? You probably caught up now. We're talking about the casino cade. It's missing an A, so Arcade1Up can't buy the Vowel. That's all you need. Do you guys understand that? If you do YouTube, if you make content for YouTube, all you need is an interesting title to start. My title, for example, was Arcade1Up can't buy a Vowel. You're like, what the heck is he talking about? And I'm like, Wheel of Fortune, remember? You can't buy a Vowel. That's something they would say in the game. Okay? And then I connected the dots by saying, check it out. It's missing an A. It's missing an A. And you're like, oh, that's dumb. You're just being stupid. And I'm like, no, it's more than that. They actually got to change the name. And that's why it hasn't came out yet. So actually the name makes sense. It's like they can't get the trademark. See, they can't buy a Vowel. They can't buy the trademark out from someone else that's all like, Casino Cade is taken. Some lawyer was all like, can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do Casino Cade. But what the lawyer said it was fine, evidently, what's fine is you can do Casino Cade. If you just remove that A, Casino Cade, and then you're good. No, stop, AWOL. You can't call it Casino Cade. You have to call it Casino CDE. From now on in the chat, do not type in Casino Cade. You want to get me in trouble? There's going to be some person that comes in the chat and is all like, dude, I own the trademark for Casino Cade. You can't use it in relation with Arcade1Up. I'm going to sue all of you. And henceforth, we have to call it the Casino CDE. All right? If you want to pronounce it Cade, you have to be like Casino Cade. Don't have that A in there. We'll all get in trouble, okay? Like, it's serious business. You want to get sued? Don't get sued. Okay, Arcade1Up could have the biggest arcade online community with Discord integrated with their system and other stuff. But they refuse to get bigger and better. See, that's what we need. We need people like you to come in and be like, drop that nugget of information there, and then boom, we can get this all figured out. If you're having any value in the entertainment tonight, please hit a like on this video. I really appreciate it. We're going to continue on with the chat and stick around. It's my goal to get a streaming goal tonight of 100 viewers. And you know how we do that? I give you a reason to stick around. So if you're right now in the chat and you're thinking about leaving in the next minute, comment real quick. I'm going to jump to the bottom of a reason to stay. And I'm going to try to give you that reason. I'm going to try to come through on that promise that I'll try to deliver on the reason to stay. If we can hit that goal, help me with some likes, I'll be satisfied with my evening. And then I'm going to bring it tomorrow when I do a podcast entirely about my day today, which was really sick. The arcade auction, what happened? Please join me for that. It's going to be a lot of fun and excitement. I got a lot of stories to tell. I got to meet JT Brunick in the chat. He came, hung out, shook his hand. He had to leave. It was good seeing you, buddy. It was really awesome. Yes, still interested in the Casino Cade. I think it'll be something different and fun. That's good. Something to mix it up. That makes sense, actually. I have an app that I play. Casino on a team. There we go. Grandma don't come over much, if you know what I mean. And she stays out of my arcade. I know what you mean, Chris. I know what you mean. DJ Review, however, says, I have never, ever in a million years wanted a casino. He doesn't want one. He doesn't want a casino CDE. And then Damien comes in with, I'll buy that for $1. No! No Vowel for you. You cannot buy a Vowel. This is that round where it's not allowed to buy a Vowel. It's a big in the Wheel of Fortune game. Can't buy a Vowel. That's right. Fast and the Furious hit customs. More proof that Fast and the Furious is coming. You saw my podcast previously about how furious I was with Fast and the Furious because it's pulling me in and I already have a Ridge Racer and I'm furious about that and I realize it's my only answer to ever get Cruisin' USA. You think they'll ever come out with Cruisin' USA? Or will Nintendo forever bar them from having a direct relationship with them? And at best, they'll have to go through Roth Reels. But Roth Reels is a little scared. And they're like, no, we can't give you Cruisin' USA. But we can give you the Fast and the Furious. We can do Fast and the Furious. And it's basically better than Cruisin' USA. And can you convince everyone out there that Fast and the Furious is your answer to Cruisin' USA? Some may say, why would you want to play Daytona? It's only fun because at the very beginning it says Daytona, and then it goes around, and then you're just always turning left. Well, as Fast and the Furious, your car freaking flips. It flips in the air, and we don't know how much it's going to cost, and we don't know what other features that are going to come with Fast and the Furious, but that's what makes me furious. Is that it's pulling me in. It's pulling me in. I'm mostly excited about the upcoming AtGames 4K pinball machine waiting on a 1-up banger from the 80s. That's right. 1-up banger from the 80s. What do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be Robotron? Are we going to get something like that? Are we going to get a Tron re-release, but this time in a deluxe? Is that considered our 80s? Are we going to get Dragon's Lair? They're going to do another run of Dragon's Lair and be like, but imagine this. How pissed off would you be if Arcade1Up comes out with a Dragon's Lair Deluxe and this one lips perfectly synced? And they're like, if you got the one with the riser, we don't know what to tell you. How upset would you be if they did that? 80s is great, but don't upset us. That would be pretty cool. Papa Brad with the big knowledge coming in now. He says, we need more choice on a racer cab than just Fast and the Furious. We need more choice. We need more choice. We don't have enough choice. We got Outrun. We got Ridge Racer. We got Fast and the Furious coming, according to shipping docs, which have never, no sarcasm, never let us down. It's always come true. If you're new to the home arcade space and you're coming in here and you're like, who the heck is this guy? Is he drunk or something? I say, no. I'm just high on life. And that's exactly what you should be. You should have a smile on your face right now. You should be enjoying life. And you should be looking at how many people that are in the chat enjoying life right now. And stick around with us, because if we get that goal of 100 people in the chat late night, I'm going to do something crazy. That means you got to stick around, because people come and they go. They come in for the chat for a little bit. But if you stick around, we get that number up to 100. Magical things happen. I tell you, magical things happen. And we're almost there. We're going to do it. That's right. So Stupid Fat Hobbit, I love this guy. Great content creator. Also has drops bombs in the chat with fantastic knowledge. Let's see what he has today. I'd like to solve the puzzle, Pat. Casino Cade will be a bust. Let's see what he says, Vanna. He solved the puzzle. Very good, stupid fat hobbit. So here's what I think. We've actually heard this from other people, and it's that the Casino Cade wasn't designed for this community. Well, then who was it designed for? I thought your goal was to sell to the community that you design your cabinets for, which is us. Is this yet again Arcade1Up trying to spread their wings? They're like, we can't feed all the mouths at Arcade1Up by just feeding these tight-knit communities on YouTube. So we need to expand to TikTok so we can get real customers. How does that make you feel? That Arcade1Up is trying to grow their clientele through TikTok. That's right, folks. TikTok. The best app on the internet. Yeah. 18 to 24-year-olds are interested in arcades. Don't think so. Maybe they're interested if their dad and their mother is interested, and then their dad and their mother buy them an arcade, then maybe. There we go. Let's see. Justin, I see you like whiskey. But are you also a beer kind of guy? If so, what's your favorite? Let's see. So I do drink beer from time to time. So about once or twice a week, I'll have a beer. Typically, I've been having it at Up Down Arcade. I thought I would quit going to arcades once I really start making my pinball dreams come true by having mini arcades right here conveniently in my basement. That's the key thing. You can own mini machines, but are they convenient? I got an offer from a guy recently to lease him arcade machines, like basically operate in his new arcade that's opening in September. And I might take him up on it because it's a good deal. I get to maintain them. They get to get beaten up. He gives me a piece of the pie. I go fix them when they have problems. I might do one or two that could be fun. Anyway, the beer, an IPA I've been drinking lately. In fact, Des Moines IPA. I don't know why. I saw a sign that said Des Moines IPA. I'm like, I live in Des Moines, and I like IPAs, so maybe I would like Des Moines IPA. And I have to tell you, it did not disappoint. And so my favorite thing about playing pinball at the Up Down Bar, which downtown has many great machines, including Jurassic Park. I fell in love with it so much I had to buy it. And I had to make my machine look as good as the one at the Up Down Bar. And I think I did a really good job. I upgraded the spring to be the purple spring, which is similar to theirs. Very thick. You pull it back, boom, you get the loop. No problem. I like that. They also got the Newton little Jeep, a little tight, put a little washer in there. It swings around a lot easier, increases the joy of the gameplay. Had to match that, enjoyed it. Anyway, having a beer, putting that right in the little cup holder, right under the plunger, and taking a sip in between. When it says bonus, you gotta wait for the bonus. You might get a ball save. Even when you think you won't get a ball save, you might get a ball save. Never stop looking at the ball unless you see bonus and it's boom, 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 showing you the points. And then you grab your little beer and you take a little sip and you say, that's good. And then you go for another round. And I was able to fully recreate that atmosphere here in my basement. Recreating the atmosphere is key. And we are at 93 people in the chat. Thank you so much for continuing to stick around. I'm telling you, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to do something special when we hit 100. And the way we hit 100 is people stick around. And the way I can get people to stick around is talk to you. Biggie D's in the chat saying how it's going. Dude, tomorrow on the podcast, I'm going to be talking about the auction that I went to today. Met JT Brunick. That was cool. And there was a guy. Maybe I'm going to find in any of the videos that I took and pictures I took, there's a guy that looks just like you, Biggie D. I'm going to call him Iowa Biggie D. There is an Iowa Biggie D in Iowa, and legit, he looks, it's your doppelganger. 100% looks like you. He is taller. Is that upset you? Like, he's significantly tall. Like, I don't know how tall you are, Biggie D, but this guy's got some height on him, and I think he's taller than you because this guy's got some height. The dude bought some pretty killer stuff. I wanted to get his number, like, because clearly it was an arcade. Like, he loaded up on some machines. Andy's in the house. He says, definitely want to hear more about the auction tomorrow. Yeah, I sold a ton of stuff. I'm trying to come up with the best clickbait title I possibly can. I think I'm going to say, I'm done with arcades. What do you guys think? I'm going to play on the little I'm done with, except for I'm talking about I sold all my big arcades, and there's a reason why I did it. There's a reason why. Don't you start judging me. Brad, stop it. You're judging me again. I can hear you through the stream. Go look at this guy. He's a reverse retro Ralph. The guy buys full-size arcades and then sells them and then starts buying more one-ups. He's a reverse retro Ralph. I hear you. Are you going to Messenger right now? Are you going to Messenger right now? You're like, I've been a member of you for 2,000 years, and now you're making fun of me live. No one cares, dude. No one cares. No one cares. No one, and I'm only at 99 current. You know why I'm at 99, not at 100? Because Brad just dropped. Brad's like, my feelings are hurt. Sarcastic Justin is getting to me. Sarcastic Justin is getting to me. Biggie D is the original. He is the new blood for Arcade1Up content. Great channel. And that's right. I love this newest generation of Arcade1Up content creators. They're the best. Because the previous ones 100% sucked. But the new generation is really good. Let me talk about the previous generation that sucked. It's this guy, Damien. Oh my God, his channel's horrible. Because he's the previous generation. But this next generation, see, it's like twins in a family. Like, it skips a generation. It's like there's a generation when there's no twins, and that kind of sucks. And it was like, you guys don't have twins in your... Yeah, it skips a generation. It's like, it's a weird thing. And then the next generation you get all excited about because they do something special. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's right. That's right. We hit 103. We hit 103. What? Okay, I'll be honest with you. I didn't think we were going to hit 103. So all I had in my back pocket was I was going to take my shirt off. But I'm pretty sure if I did that, there would be 0 people in the chat. So we can't do that. We can't do that. So I'm gonna bring it to you guys. I'm gonna bring it to you. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think I'd have to come through on this one. So think of the bar is Justin has to take his shirt off, but no one wants to see that. So you give me something that's at that level, and then we'll discuss it in the chat, and we'll see where we're going with this. Okay, we'll see. Yeah, Paul's like, keep your shirt on. You know, keep your shirt on, definitely. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. But Carl's like, no, you got to strip tease. No. Hey, I'm not one of you. Oh, yeah, you are. Oh, yeah, you are. You are a 1UP channel, dude. Just as much as Console Fanboy is a Mortal Kombat channel. Mortal Kombat channel, you're a 1UP channel. It's just is what it is. It is what it is. If the majority of your views that come into your channel... Even if you have 90 views, even if you have 90 videos about another topic, if the majority of them that come in are from 1UP, then you're a 1UP channel. That's how it works. Haven't you read the YouTube Bible? P-Dub sent me a PDF like 3 years ago saying, like, here's how it works. And it's like, if you really want to diversify, then you got to make content about 1UP. Then you got to make content about iArcade. Then you got to make content about AtGames. And you constantly got to remind everyone that you own all of them. Okay, that's like in the bylaws of becoming like a home arcade YouTuber. And then when one of them does something great, you say, oh, you saw it coming. And then when another content creator makes a video about how great something is, you have to be a contrarian and say that's dumb. And then you have to come into people's chat and you have to school them on things that you read on Wikipedia. and you pretend that you've known that for years, okay? And you constantly, when you make posts on Facebook, you have to tell people how long you've been working on arcades. Please never admit to anyone that it's the first time you've ever done something. That gets you banned off YouTube. You got to constantly remind people that you were born with a soldering iron in your hand, okay? It's super important. You've replaced caps on an arcade since you were 3. Don't do that. You're dead. You're gone. You're out of this community. And make sure you tweet about how horrible other content creators are. I mean, Damien does that on a daily basis. I mean, Exhibit A, right? And when you do that, you're showing the community that those people are not cool, which means you're the one that's actually cool. So your job as a content creator is to constantly remind people how much better you are than other people. I mean, you know this, right? You understand what I'm saying is 100% factual, and there's no arguing any of this. I mean, I'll list 10 content creators where 90% of their content is literally just making fun of other content creators, and they're not Rexer. They're actually the people that you subscribe to. That's all they do, because they want to think that they're cool by saying other people suck. You understand this formula, right? Like, this is not sarcastic, Justin. This is straight up honesty, how YouTube works. I don't know what it is. I'm sure a psychologist could come in and be like, well, see, what's actually happening here is when they were a child, their mother didn't hug them very much, so therefore they have this need to constantly make sure that they're, cool, so they, there's some deep-seated psychological problem going on. And me, I'm sure I have deep-seated psychological problems, because I have to analyze that and then not say a word about it, because I just bottle it up. Not that I need to get it out, but fine, I'm just afraid to talk about it, because it's like the elephant in the room that I just figure everyone knows about. They just don't want to hear it. They just don't want to hear it, right? And I don't want to say anything that, like, no one wants to hear, even if it's true. Did I tell you today that I love you? That's how I keep my subscribers. This is what I do. I go live, and I go, welcome to the Console Kits channel. I love you. Brad, bad guy Mike Worley, I love you. Carlo, thank you for coming to the channel. I love you. Paul, thank you for coming to the channel. I love you. Andy, the game room. I love you. Let's see, who else? Chris Ford, I love you. Paul again, I love you. Mr. Justin, I'm confused. I think Console Kits was a console channel, not an Arcade1Up channel. It doesn't matter. I love you. Let's see. Chris Ford, I still love you. Paul, I still love you. Just say something in the chat and you're going to get this warm, fuzzy feeling, because I get to tell you I love you. Tommy says, I need the Pac-Man partycade. Anyone have one for sale? Legit thinking for a second. I don't think there's any sales going on for the Pac-Man partycade, but keep an eye out. So my guess is we're going to see the 2023 partycade soon, because we haven't, and we've heard from Arcade1Up that there will be more partycades, and it's HSN, QVC. They seem to be almost an exclusive. Like, we'll see them on Walmart, but at least why I say almost exclusive. I think they play a big part in, what exact titles that they want, and kind of get that cost down and the price model. I think they work really closely with Arcade1Up on that partycade. And so what sometimes happens is the newer version will come out, and then the previous one will go on discount. Not all the time, but sometimes. And if you look at the Arcade1Up Deluxe cabinets that came out, they're $499, but they're basically the same PCB, same game set. It looks like they didn't invest more money into, retooling it with new games or different games, or they just said, let's keep that the same this year and just focus on, we're going to get rid of the riser and make it, streamlined, like kind of riserless design. Let's focus on that. So I'm really interested in what the partycade 2023 models will look like. And it might be a while before we see them because they're kind of seasonal. They'll probably want to ramp up in maybe July, because HSN QVC does have specials that go on in July. And they also try to start carrying them for the end of the year. We'll get them early, typically October, September. But, they want to have plenty in stock for the holiday at the end of the year. So sometimes we'll see some small releases in July. Anyway, so my point is, this year, here's my question with the partycade. Will it only have the same amount of games as before? Will we see only like 10 games? Will they be the same game set? And if so, what is going to be the new feature? Is it a cost reduction feature, like they make it slightly smaller so they can put it in a slightly smaller box and they'll increase their margins? Maybe. My point is when that happens, we might see a discount on the previous year, and it might be pretty easy to make that decision. Like, oh, I'm just going to buy the previous year. It's now on discount because the new one doesn't really offer anything more. I think this year might be a year where, if it wasn't for the Mortal Kombat 30th edition having a TN monitor, this year you would basically say, okay, should I get the 30th anniversary Mortal Kombat or the Deluxe? Which one should I get? And again, if it wasn't for the TN monitor, the choice would be like riser or no riser. But the shape of the cabinet, from basically the middle of the cabinet up, it's going to be pretty similar, just different artwork. It's going to have that same, marquee, and it's going to have that same control panel, whatever. So, speaking of fake channels, we got Damien Deal With It. We're going back to that topic for a second. I wanted to get to him, but I wasn't able to. Now I lost all the momentum that I had where I was sarcastically making fun of content creators. I got nothing for you. Oh, I think that was going to be my joke. I had it in my head a minute ago before I went to Tommy. Oh, that's it. This is what I was going to do. This was going to be the joke. It was, hey, Paul, I love you. Tommy, I love you. Damien, nice channel. Okay. Goofy Foot is here. What is up? Zero Hero. Papa Brad in the chat reminding everyone that I'm a Zohar shill. And, Zohar has a wrench, but he doesn't, so he gets upset about that. It's this weird jealousy that the two guys have. I honestly don't pay attention anymore. If you're in the chat and you enjoy the comedic back and forth between these two guys, happy for you, great. I'm not going to burst your bubble or your parade. You guys enjoy that. It's kind of like the Casino Cade. It's like, hey, man, I totally get it. Casino Cade, there's some people that like it. There's some people that don't. You do you. Whatever, let's move on. Zero Cool says, I would love a tour of your arcade sometimes, console kids. Well, being that I sold 9 machines, and they're not one-ups, 9 machines today, very limited tour. It's going to be pretty quick. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. That's right. I still own arcades, but there's a very specific reason why I sold these. And we'll get into it. And I learned a ton today. I was talking to some arcade owners that hate Arcade1Up. And there's some that love Arcade1Up. These two don't have children, so they hate Arcade1Up. And they were saying how great the 16-1 was. And then I kind of schooled them on how the 16-1 has a crappy emulator, a same chipset as the Generation 1 single-core processor, less memory. So you're just hating on Arcade1Up because you don't have any knowledge. So I had to drop that knowledge on them and then remind them that the Gen 3 is 960p. Go ahead and have fun with their 480i 60-in-1 machine. I guess it's all about the games, except for they were talking about what they like to do with some of these machines, like Pandora's Box or a 60-in-1, is actually use them to make a dedicated machine. I was like, okay, that's cool. They don't want to use a Raspberry Pi because they're afraid of the shutdown mechanism. And I was like, oh, there's shutdown mechanisms. Well, I want to pull the power, And I was going to work with them. See if I can come up with some solutions that are like, you can make a dedicated arcade machine. Use this hardware. It doesn't have to be an FPGA base. It doesn't have to be the bits. It doesn't have to be the J-Rock, because those are limited on what games they can cover. But you can use this technique. Right? Single game, boots right into it, Technically, it's emulation, but you can scale, and that's what they need. One of their biggest problems is some of these newer parts and availabilities. They're like, when they come out, they buy 5, and then they have customers that they, refurbish their machines, and they basically want dedicated machines, single board computer dedicated machines. Or they did mention they like a 61, but come on, that UI in the 60-in-1 is so horrible. And I was like, why don't you buy some partycades and put the partycade PCBs in a full-size machine? And they scoffed. They scoffed at that idea. I'm like, are you kidding me? Compare a J-Rock, compare a Williams, multi-Williams, to the partycade PCB, which, if they were on a discount, I agree, there's probably some availability issues on that. But the UI is great. Being able to go through the games is great. It's the correct aspect ratio. It's 960p, so you can down-res that to whatever your CRT is running at, 240, which will be a brilliant quality screen. They just don't have the knowledge to be able to do that. So I was like, that's it. I'm pivoting my channel. I'm going to teach these arcade folks a better way. And I'm going to work with someone in China to build a better 60-in-1. It's going to be better than a Pandora's box. It's going to have better UI. It's going to have better settings, and it will meet their needs. It'll have a easy button for the arcade owners. It's like, oh, you want coin op? Bam. You want to save your score? Bam. You want to save your initials? Bam. You don't want to upgrade? You don't want to corrupt your SD card? Bam. You want it easy to use? Bam. You want it JAMA compatible? Bam. Let's do this. Why not? What else we got going on? So, maybe I'll give you a tour. Anyway. This is probably going to be their end of the game. Adding, I believe. Yeah. Let's see. My chat thing's messing up. Okay. They still put all the games on the people really want 3/4 and up scale, like Gorf, Defender, Partycade. I'm really interested with the Deluxe. I'm telling you, man, I think we're going to see Deluxe going forward. And with a riser, it's going to be these $299 machines at Walmart. And the community is not going to want the $299 machines because they won't have all the features. They won't. Maybe they'll have online, but they probably won't have a light-up marquee. Probably have a sticker for the coin door, and you'll have to buy a riser a la carte, and they may even have a TN monitor. Like, they may go, that's not our community. So it's like, we'll see when those come out, which we'll probably get this year. I don't know. I could be wrong. Will a Blitz 49 stick work on a Partycade PCB? I'm guessing no, but I also haven't tried it. Let's see. First of all, how does the Blitz work? So it's magnetic. It goes into an encoder. I think it has an encoder itself, and then it wires in to another encoder. I would guess on the Blitz that they had, that's a native app. So the Blitz is a native app, not Android. Right, so it's running like I think it's compiled for Linux native, I think. It's like basically like a port and a modification. So they may actually have the polling for the controller inputs, like custom driver perhaps, in the game. It's possible, because did the company spend time building a separate process, an abstract layer, a device layer, specifically for the 49 49-way stick? I don't know. I haven't dug into it. But I'm telling you all the things, like, if I was to reverse engineer, which I've worked for companies where what I did was reverse engineer hardware, and we had tickets that we worked on. Like, we created a plan, like, how are we going to do it? And keep in mind, everything that I did was 100% legit and legal, signed off by lawyers. There's these legalities, there's these that you have the right to be able to reverse engineer hardware and learn from it and grow from it, but you cannot steal, you can't decrypt, and you can't violate any patents or anything like that, but you can gain knowledge. And so what we would do is a new board would come in, and so we would make a list of the hypothesis, is this how it's working? Is that how it's working? We would write it down, and then you would write test, basically, like, what test could you execute on this board to see if your hypothesis is correct or not? So we'd come up with the test, And then we'd go into the lab, we'd just solder this and put it on this. You know, it was pretty cool. We had a pretty decent lab where we could buy pretty good equipment. And so it made it really, it was all a lot of like just desoldering this flash memory and then putting on a flash reader and then reading it and then checking and analyzing and decompiling the code. We had a lot of fun tools. We'd literally give it, I wrote some of the tools. It was kind of fun. So a lot of flash memory is basically zipped. So if you extract it, it's like a file system that's compressed and it gets decompressed and put into memory. And so one of our attacks, I would say, that we did was we would spy on the memory, the RAM of the machine, and certain addresses for chipsets would write straight to RAM exactly what's in the flash memory. But in the clear, even if it's decrypted, if it's signed or compressed, bam, you could grab that, write it to disk, and you now have like the file system. And then we had some other tools that we wrote that would allow you to mount that file system, and then you could actually go through the folders and see everything that's in there. And a lot of this was for creating lawsuits. And so we would check and see if this other company was actually using our drivers and codes that were commercially licensed, and often they did. And then we would generate reports that would go to lawyers, and lawyers would have people sign affidavits. I would fly out to colleges. This professor would actually be the person that takes the stand and would redo all of the tests that I did in the lab, but take all the credit that his team did all of the work and the reverse engineering, and then would go to court and say, this is what happened, this is how they're in violation, and they'd almost settle like the same day. I don't think there was ever like an injunction or there was any type of like, I don't know what I'm talking about now, but 49 way, could it happen? Where I would start with is analyzing, oh, you could dump the memory, you can kind of figure out what's going there. That's probably too much work for this project. Yeah, you just try it. That's what I'd do. Just plug it in, see what happens. Wow, it took a really long time to be like, just go to the basics, plug it in, see what happens. But if it doesn't work, then how do you do it? And this would be good, dude, Stringer. Imagine you get some of these Blitz cabinets for like $200. It's got 49-way gates, 49-way 6. Forget all that. Take that sucker, build an adapter, be able to plug that in, and make like a Sinistar. Dude, like J-Rock, Sinistar, Arcade1Up 49-way stick. The 49-way stick is pretty tight. And you get 4 of them in one machine for $200. That's cheap. That's cheap. You start salvaging the Blitz units just for the 49-way. Then you start going to Arcade1Up and you're like, man, my 49-way stick is broken. Will you sell me 5? And then see if they'll sell you them. There you go. Man, yeah. That'd be really cool if they could sell them on the side. No, just find the manufacturer. This is what, maybe Glenn's going to start selling them. You know, there we go. That'd be pretty cool. Let's see. I just asked ChatGPT, so I know how to make one now. There you go. You can just make your own 49-way stick. I mean, ChatGPT is going to take over the world. 10-inch screen on the Casino Cade makes it a no. Change it. But, Peter, did you know? 1, I love you. 2, the Casino Cade has lights around it. So if you made a bigger screen, you're not going to get flashing lights on the side, man. Seriously. You got to read the description next time before you comment. Also, I love you. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. Stringer, I love you. I love you, Matt. I want to make sure you know that. And let me share my love to Zero Hero. Hey, Zero Hero. I love you. I love you. You know I do. You know I do. I see you smiling, Zero. Can see through the camera lens. That's right. I'm looking straight at the camera lens to make you know I'm serious. That's right. Zero Hero. I love you. He says, I tell you what, Justin, give you your money worth for $2. This man's knowledge is amazing. See, I said I love you before you even said that. JJ, if you're just new to the chat. Hey, JJ, listen up. Buddy in Texas. JJ, you're only going to hear this once. I love you. Okay. He says, Why won't Arcade1Up re-release the Defender Partycade? Is it a QVC license thing? I think it's just a seasonal thing. That's all. It's just seasonal. They probably are like working on the next design. A lot of times, like, it's very possible that the Deluxe cabinet. So again, I worked for this manufacturing company and we built machines. I'm not a genius. I'm not here to tell you that I'm smarter than you. I'm about to explain something that I learned from this job that I had, and it's probably wrong. I'm just sharing you with my experience. Doesn't make me a qualified professional in any way. In fact, the type of work that I did at this company did not put me in a position to know anything. It was just like the company I work for now. I'm just a lowly software engineer doing what the executives tell me to do. They say write code that looks like this. I'm like, sounds good. I am an executive manager translator. I take business requirements and convert them to code. Just like a language interpreter that's communicating between a business guy that speaks this language and a business person that speaks this language. The only difference is the person the CEO can't talk to is your TV. He goes through me. He's like, I'll tell that TV how to show stuff on it. Anyway, so this company I worked for, they would release products, and then I would be in meetings with these hardware engineers from time to time. My job was to analyze the vulnerabilities of the machines to stop you hackers from stealing TV. That was my job. So I'd be in these meetings, and they would talk about the different chipsets and the new enhancements that they're using with the different manufacturers to be able to thwart the different piracy that's out there. That's right, I said thwart with a big W in there, because that's how I like to say it. So these manufacturers come out with new ways to be able to secure their hardware, and we would try to take advantage of that. One of the best techniques out there that came out in the 70s was public cryptography, this idea that not one key, but there's two keys. See, I used to do this for a living where I would train people on very high complex things. But did you know, for centuries, any type of way to encrypt a message was one way. Scramble. If you know the key, if you know the pattern, you know the passcode, you can both create that message and you can decode that message. But sometime in the 70s, some major people, mathematicians, came up with this idea of public cryptography where there's two keys. There's one essentially that you can use to encrypt and another one that you can use to decrypt. Two different keys, mathematically, separate. And hardware manufacturers, what they'll do is they'll put one of the keys inside the chipset and the other key is secret. No one can have it. And so what essentially happens is they will use this technology to sign. You've probably heard that. Sign builds, like Nintendo is signing their games. What does that mean? They're using this public cryptography, and they're taking a hash or a digest of the entire game and turning it into this word, this string, and then they're encrypting it with a key that only they have, the one key. And then the other key is inside the chipset. And that actually allows them to verify the signature that the game was made by the developers that actually licensed the game, like Nintendo. Okay, anyway. Wow, that was a rant. Whatever, that was useless information. Who cares? Who cares about public cryptography? We're talking about hardware. They would have cost reduction versions every year. So they'd come out with brand new hardware, and it cost them like $300 to make this hardware. And then a group of engineers, and I'd be in some of those meetings, but not all of them, would analyze everything that's required to make this embedded system work. We would take a look at the UI that's running it, the hardware decoders that we're needing to be able to operate. This was television. And so it was like, okay, how many streams do we have? Is it MPEG-4? Are we doing, this is before HD, but now we would be like, are we doing HDR? Like, what are everything that's inside the chip that we actually need and will need for the life of this product? And we would remove everything that's not needed. That was called the cost reduction version. So the following year would come out with hardware that looked exactly the same on the outside, and we'd sell it for even more. We'd increase the price. and they were half as much to make. And so, as it goes, that first year, you're kind of burning money. You were spending all this time investing in R&D on this product, and it costs you more money, and you were blowing it because you were doing extra RAM, and you're like faster RAM and a CPU chipset that you based all your software on would be like overloaded with features you don't even need, but you could need, maybe need. And the following year, you would look at that and go, does that company offer another chip that's cheaper, still gets the job done, cost reduction? Can we compress the circuitry? Can we reduce the feature set, essentially, and raise the price and lower the cost? And that's where you made your money. So that first year took a big hit, but you knew the second year you're just going to rake in the dough. And then you would try to do that as many times. I think we could do that 7 times, if I remember correctly. 7 times before we had to start over. So there's a certain point where there's saturation in the product, and the customer starts figuring it out that you're not really improving the product, and they need another big leap. Bam, you do another big leap. Anyway, I think that's what the Arcade1Up Deluxe version is. It's a cost reduction version. It's $4.99, and we're freaking out about the price because it looks better. But I think they figured out a way to make the shipping cheaper because the box is a lot smaller. And so the machines are kind of cut in the midway now, not at the bottom. So it started out with 2 parts. You got the riser, you got the rest of it. So 2 parts, okay, that's fine. Then with the Big Blue, they introduced 3 parts. It's okay, the customer wants them taller, and there's a riser, and it's got an upper part. So now it's 3 parts. Well, it's still in that 48 inches. With the latest version of Deluxe, they moved the cutting point in the middle. It doesn't have a riser, and it's smaller when you cut it in half. So now you can fit it in a smaller box. Does that reduce their shipping costs? Because remember, they're paying shipping costs, in scale, right? So reducing it a little bit is gonna make them more money. The retailer will make more money because they're not spending more money on the shipping there, and yada yada yada. Deluxe is probably a cost reduction version. You could probably watch a better podcast than me, and they can explain it in 5 minutes. But hey, me, I take an entire hour to do that. And that's just me. I do me, fast cut YouTubers can do them. But just trying to keep it real. And JJ, I love you. I haven't told you I love you. ACS Rocks. Esports. Could be esports, but I'm saying esports. I love you. He says, if you think of the extra wood parts in the riser, yeah, there is extra, the little ones inside there that are going back and forth. You don't have that on the new one, right? That's right. Bigger, yeah, smaller box, bigger profit. It's not hard, guys. Let's see. Justin, what do you think of the 1UP Underground? I see what you're doing, Papa Brad. You're trying to make me make a political statement. You're like, oh, man, what he did with Moat. Man, that was messed up. And you're trying to get me to say things like he's not a good person at interviewing. He spent 40 minutes to ask one question. I know what you're trying to do, but you're not going to get me to do it. Don't you come in here and start sneaking things in, trying to get me to say things that are going to get me in trouble. I see what you're doing, Papa Brad. It's not happening here. I'm not going to diss another content creator. It's not what I do. I love you, Papa Brad. I love 1UP Underground. And I think as many content creators get more experience, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else, but I will tell you that as you progress as a content creator and you get more face time in front of the camera, you learn different things. I'm not saying I learned more than you, but I can understand and appreciate that there's some content creators that are newer in the scene, and I appreciate what they offer. I'm not going to sit here and criticize them. I want to encourage all content creators, including Rexer. I know what you're thinking. This guy hates Rexer. Everyone should make content. Dude, YouTube is fantastic. We're living this period of time that's crazy that you can make a YouTube channel and people actually listen to you rant about nonsense. That's freaking awesome, dude. Like, remember, you guys probably don't know this, but, and maybe you're the same. Maybe you're the same. But when I was like 11 years old, literally my brother-in-law had a camcorder. And I borrowed it because we couldn't afford one, but he had one. You know, my sister married up into a richer household. He had a camcorder, and it was like early 90s, 91, and I had it, and I filmed myself talking in front of the camera, telling stories. Those videos are somewhere at my mom's house. Hour-long videos of me doing this and being like, I really think Billy Joel's new album that came out is pretty good. So the Greatest Hits album is when the world started learning about Piano Man. But did you know that Piano Man was an album that came out in 1971? One of my favorite albums by Billy Joel is Cold Spring Harbor. Now, Billy Joel in an interview doesn't even like that album because he made that not to be released, but to share with people to be able to sell songs. Did you know that Billy Joel didn't even want to be a songwriter, a singer-songwriter? He just wanted to write music and sell the music. That's what he wanted to do. So he wrote this album, Cold Spring Harbor, which was a sample of his songwriting capabilities. And then he went and sold it to people, but there was a problem. Do you know about the problem? Anyone in the chat know the problem with Cold Spring Harbor? It is that they edited it incorrectly. It was sped up. He sounded like a chickmunk. And there's a story that when he got his friends together so they listened to his very first album, he threw the record at the wall and it shattered. And he tried to bury that album. And then he came out with Piano Man, and he came out with Turnstile, and he's like, all right, I'm going to be a band. Okay, cool. I got this vibe going. All right, I guess no one's going to buy my music. I'm just going to do it myself. Next thing you know, bam, he's doing Greatest Hits. He's in the 70s playing big tours. Billy Joel's Billy Joel. And then in 81, his freaking producer in Columbia Records all of a sudden re-released Cold Spring Harbor, one of his best albums, but they didn't do a good job actually fixing it. They didn't actually fix it. You like Cold Spring Harbor? Have you listened to the actual record? The original that almost no one has heard of? It's so much better. With the speed fix. There is actually orchestra that goes on. Kind of sounds more like the Beatles. And it's buried, but it's on YouTube. It's YouTube if you look closely. If you go look for Cold Spring Harbor, I think it's original cut, and it's in the pitch corrected, I guarantee you will cry. Go. Why are you watching this? You should be listening to Cold Spring Harbor, Billy Joel's first album. That was amazing. Billy Joel review is how Console Kits started. That's right. Console Kits, you guys don't know this, but the Console Kits name, my goal was to be versatile. So, we're going to talk about consoles. I'm going to sell you kits. Video games, right? We're going to talk about consoles. No. Audio consoles. I'm going to sell you mixers. I'm going to talk about music and producing. I'm going to talk about foot pedals. It's your console kits. And then somehow I started making console content. And the audience says, no! Console kits is not about selling kits to video game consoles. Console kits is not talking about music and those mixers. No. He is Console Kits. And at first I denied this. No, I am not Console Kits. I am Justin from Console Kits. Console Kits is where I'm from, like a company. Justin from Console Kits. And then the audience said, no, that guy who's making all that one-up content, he is Console Kits. And now they're like, no, he is one-up kits. Today's April 1st. I'm here to announce I'm changing my channel to one-up kits. It's official. I mean, I'm a shill for the audience. If you guys want me to be one-up kits, hit a 1 in the chat. I give you what you want. If you're like, no, bro, stick to your guns with this Console Kits name. You are Console Kits. You're forever Console Kits. You are forever what you want to be. And we will follow you wherever you go. And forever you will be known as Console Kits. Hit a big fat 0 in there going, no! Hit that 0 saying no! You're forever Console Kits. You're not with Console Kits. You're not Justin from Console Kits. You are Console Kits. That's right. Biggie D's like, no! Alfred, which, by the way, I haven't told you. I love you. I love you. No, is what he says. What is going on? What is going on? Getting lit. Coming to the channel. Thank you for stopping by. I love you. A lot of people haven't tried this. Like, dude, I think I might be the first content creator that cracked the code. I've gotten 10 subscribers growth today. Every content creator that is in the chat right now needs to try this. Seriously, I've gained 10 subscribers this video alone. And I will tell you the secrets to YouTube right now. And this is how it works. RS Tout, R Stout, I love you. Boom, I just got a sub. Carl, I love you. He just unsubscribed and resubscribed. Boom, I got a sub. That's right. That's right. This is how it works. This is like, I don't know why anyone didn't think of it. Justin, can you feel the love tonight? Can you feel the love? Oh, I got to get some reverb in there a little bit. Let's get that up. Oh, what is this sound? You know what this reminds me of? I'll keep this on for a second because it's a little nostalgic. I don't know if you guys know this, but when I was very young, probably in my early 20s, my very first job was working at I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to ruin the punchline, but I would say things into a microphone, and that gave me the first experience of talking into a mic. And let me tell you, it was a pretty interesting job. And it made me really realize how much I wanted to continue doing things like this. And so, you in the chat, I'd love for you to guess what this thing that I did was for a little while. And I'm going to start with giving you some hints and clues. And it was, this track has a great beat, perfect for getting everyone on the dance floor. Let's hear it. Then I would say, I love the energy of the song. It's really pumping up the crowd. Let's go, guys. Let's do it. Then I would say, listen to way this bass line drops. It's such a sick moment. Let's do this. This is a classic tune that never fails to get people singing along. Let's hear it from... And then I would fill in the song. And then I would say, I'm really feeling the vibe of this track. Do you got that groove? Do you got that groove? Anyway, no one cares. No one cares. I'm going to turn the effect off now. No one cares. That's right. That's right. I was a stripper DJ. Yeah. Actually, Thor, I love you, by the way. It was Justin Burger Kicks. That's right. Chris is saying, let's see. Well, I worked flipping burgers at McDonald's. Flipping burgers, however, that sounds like a Hardee's, drive-through. Is that right? Is that what it sounds like? You could. There it is. Okay, I'll be fair with you. I never worked at a skating rink, but I wanted to. I spent a lot of time at a skating rink. A lot of time. A lot of good times at a skating rink. Miss those days. Well, good times at a skating rink. Heartbroken twice at a skating rink, you know? But you move on. You move on. And things get better. Things get much better. So. You have 12,000K. That is not enough? Are you ever happy? Come on, you know this, right? Like it's the trick of content creation is never look at your numbers. It's funny. Someone asked me how many subscribers I had today because I was at the auction and I was talking to someone and he recognized me, and it's funny because I don't think what I'm trying to say is I think my personality in person is the same as these shows that I do. And so when, I don't know, Justin, JT Brunick, he was in the chat. He met me today. I don't know, maybe I didn't bring the life when I saw him. Afterwards, I shook his hand, was talking to his son. I don't know. But like, if you've watched my video, I think if you've watched any of my videos ever, just one, it doesn't need to be like your regular. And then I meet that person and I'm just talking to someone, not even talking about YouTube. And they're like, you do YouTube, don't you? And it's happened 5 times maybe. It's been in 3 or 4 locations, so maybe it's a little bit more than that. But I think the reason why is because I'm saying, hey, how's it going? You know, I'm talking to them, no problem. And then they say something that causes me to react. So I react and I'm like, dude, that's awesome. And they're like, you're that guy from YouTube. It's like I just got excited and they're like, you're familiar. I know you. And then one or two times, they're like, I subscribe to your console kits, right? And more often it's, I've seen your video once. And that's what it was like today. The guy he owns an arcade in Iowa City, and we were talking about it. I was like, oh, I do YouTube on the side. And he was like, oh yeah, you have arcades behind you, you have a big mic in front of you, and you wear headphones. And I'm like, yep, that's me. you got it. And he's like, yeah, I've seen you from time to time. That's you make good content. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, wasn't much to get excited about at the auction, unfortunately. I think I hear what you're saying. I have planned content for tomorrow, and I think I will be able to. I'm going to try to bring the auction. JT Brunick was physically there. I'm going to make him more there. I'm bringing that auction to this group tomorrow, and I'm going to make it more exciting in my podcast than JT even had at the auction. Because the auction, I was there from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And even if tomorrow is a 2-hour show, I'm condensing all the exciting things from that entire day into a single conversation and with videos. And I think I can bring excitement to something that, and I did that. Like I would talk to someone just mentioned 1UP Weekly, and it reminded me when we did 1UP Weekly, one of the things that I kept on bringing to the table was, there'd be topics that come up. And I do this as a content creator a lot. And for those that are content creators, whatever, free advice. I'm not a genius. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal to say that I'm better or whatever. But what I do like to do is share experiences. That's generally what my channel is about. This is what happened. This was my experience. Take it for what it's worth. If you enjoy hearing me talk, continue subscribing and watching. If not, I hope you find another content creator that's exciting to you. Okay. So one of the things that I like to do was take a challenging subject, typically like a subject that is unpopular, or I know you guys in the channel know this. I'll talk about old news. I'll make a video that's like, the news is like 3 weeks old. Like everyone else has covered it. And then I'll just wait 3 weeks and then I'll talk about it. But I try to bring a different perspective or a different excitement. And it's not to compare myself to other creators. That's not the purpose of it. It's to challenge myself to take a piece of content, and it may be content that is, the topic itself is not the shiniest content, but I try to make it exciting, and I don't always succeed, but everyone agrees with this. Sometimes I do. It's like 1 out of 10, I succeed at it, and those do well. And I love that because it's critical thinking skills. You got to really sit down and think about it. You got to sit down and try to figure out a way to make it interesting. And I don't do it every time. I watch back my content and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I sitting here explaining on a video to an audience this live stream about how I make other live streams? And then, I'm totally going to watch this episode and be like, man, Justin, why are you talking? See, it's like meta crazy. But that's my plan. And we did that on One Up Weekly all the time. And Ralph thinks differently. Ralph likes to bring excitement on exciting topics that are really like you expect him to start at 10 because the topic is a 10. And I'm like, I like to take topics that are a 1 and bring them to an 8. That's really hard. And that's where, in my opinion, where growth comes. And I'm not talking about growth viewers and subscribers. I'm like, growth me. I'm probably the most selfish content creator because what I'm trying to do is get better at public speaking. Like when I'm listening back to my own content, I'm writing down how many times I had word whiskers. Like I'm like, no, got to work on that. Why are you talking not fluently? What is wrong with you, Justin? Like, why are you like uhs and oohs and ahs and looking over here? I'm like, can I trim those out? Can I trim those out? Can I? And it's all unscripted, right? That's freaking hard to like go live for an hour and get an audience, even if they're only watching for like 5, 10, or 20 minutes, to capture their attention for a little bit off the cuff. It's super hard. And I want to say that, early on, I wanted to do it live because editing, it's easier to edit and redo that take. And okay, you're staring at the camera and you're messing up your lines. That's okay. Just make 50 takes and then edit it and then chop it up and then zoom in and then zoom out. And I'm like, now your skill set is trying to get better at the keyboard, you and Premiere, you and editing. And those are fine skills to have. Like I try to get better at editing. I try to get better at Photoshop. Those are improvements. But this that I do on the live stream where I'm trying to be interesting and it's not always perfect, I have used that at work. Like at work, people make fun of me and be like, I'll do a big presentation for 30 minutes explaining how a technology works. And people in the Zoom chat will be like, don't forget to like and subscribe, Justin. It's like a little joke teaser they make. But also, those people appreciate the PowerPoint presentations just like I do on my podcast, how much time and effort I put into the podcast, and they use that knowledge to help them in their job. So there's definitely some skill sets that I'm learning on these weekend projects with you guys in the chat. And I think I've said this before, like, I appreciate you guys so much for coming in and hanging out and allowing, being a backboard, to be able to throw ideas out there and for you guys to listen. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty cool, believe me. Sometimes my word whiskers are so bad that I can't stand it. And it's headspace, dude. It's headspace. And I'm telling you this other thing. I looked back at the best podcast that I have has about 60,000 views and it's still growing. I didn't buy them. It's still growing. I'm still gaining subs on it. It just won't stop. And I watched that back and the first 10 minutes of the video, I'm on fire. I'm at a 10. I think I drank 2 Red Bulls and there's almost no word whiskers. I don't know what was in my head, but it's definitely a headspace thing. Like if you're like confident or something, it's something in your head, it comes out right. And I'll tell you one thing. There's this content creator I was listening to that's about public speaking, and he said this. A lot of times, content creators of any forms will get nervous about, I've said this before on the podcast before, right? You'll get nervous about pauses. Like, you gotta stop. You know, you can't stop talking, is what you'll think to yourself. I gotta just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And oftentimes what will happen, if you're so focused on trying to fill all that space, you will fill that space. And this is how you'll fill the space. Be like, hey, I'm just using your message, by the way, as a way to speak. I'm not making fun of your message, but you'll say, I was born in Mississippi. I enunciate just fine. So those those word whiskers, that's you trying not to stop talking. But if you just embrace that and you start realizing that pausing can be powerful. Really, like the power of pausing can actually be more powerful than talking fast. And so the trick of what you can do is you can think of something that you're saying like, look, I was born in Mississippi. I enunciate just fine. And so what you can do is actually, while you're talking, you can have that pause and use that to think of the next thing that you're about to say. And another key thing are these gestures. Now, you guys make fun of me from time to time. You're like, the guy's always moving his hands. He's always moving his hands. But if you put your hands down and you talk, it's not about the hands. It's about what your hands are doing to the words that are coming out of your mouth. It's not about the hand. It's about this thing right here. See, when you gesture, yes, there's visual cues. You could close your eyes right now and not even know that I'm gesturing. But me gesturing is helping me to speak more clearly. And I'm okay with those pauses, especially if they're important. Anyway, so silence makes some uncomfortable. Let's practice this for a second. So I have a drink here, and I think I'll drink the rest of it. Wasn't the end of the world, dude. It's good, too. It's pretty good. See, when it comes to this public speaking, you can use YouTube as a way to train yourself to speak more clearly. And if you think about it, that's probably the best investment that you could ever do. Think about it. Every single week, you could have an opportunity to speak, yes, into a camera lens, which is a little different. Keep in mind, I'm by myself. There's nobody here. So being able to actually talk in front of an audience of people in real life could have different challenges. But when you get more comfortable with your own voice, which is what the headphones do, by the way, I can hear myself. And I've trained myself to hear my voice so much because hours and hours of this, literally me listening to my own voice in real time. When I edit and I hear my voice back, I'm not cringing with my own voice. That's typically normal for most people. But when I hear myself talk without headphones or with headphones or pre-recorded, my brain fully understands this is what I sound like. And you know, this is what I sound like to other people, and this is what I sound like to myself, and it doesn't shock me anymore. I literally think it's just, if you're a person that when you hear yourself, you cringe, it will go away with a few hours of training, of just being in a situation where you're editing a video or listening to yourself come through a microphone. It's not a weird mental thing that you're like, oh, I cringe at myself. It's because you don't often hear yourself. That's all it is. It's the same thing. When you look into a mirror That's how often you normally see yourself, is through a mirror. But if you see your face on a camera, you're like, what is going on? This looks weird. That's not what I look like. Is that what I look like to other people? Sure. But if you make content, you start to see yourself the way other people see you. And I used to think, well, this is going to be weird because when I look into a mirror, I will look weird. Because now I'm like I'm editing my videos so much. I'm watching myself. No, that's not what happened. I look at myself in the mirror and I just know that's what I look like when I look in a mirror. And when right now, there's a monitor right in front of me that's showing me talk right now. But I'm seeing it the way you see me. I see it the same way. It's not mirrored. So think about it. If you're on Zoom, you typically by default have that mode where if you're wearing a shirt, you know, it's written backwards. Do you know why Zoom does that? By default, they want to show you a video that looks similar to the way you normally see yourself, which is a mirror. Editing videos and doing live streams where I see myself the way you see me, within a very quick period of time, I started to prefer to flip Zoom to be like, just show me what other people see me as. I don't need to be special. When you see yourself as a mirror, you're the only one that sees you like that. Everyone else in the entire world, when they see you the opposite way. You're alone in that view. Why not just put yourself in a situation where you're seeing other people the way you look? And what I'm trying to tell you is, you don't look weird. It's not the awkwardness. It's not this weird self-loathing. Maybe you self-loathe yourself. Fine. But that's not why. It's just you're not used to seeing yourself like that. And within a short period of time, you actually get over that. And I think some content creators get over that and they don't even think about it. And perhaps I just have observed that in a way where I'm like reflecting on it. And I'm going, that's like a thing. Like when I hear myself talk in a recording versus hearing myself talk, like I don't even think about it. Like I don't even really think about it at all anymore. Anyway, my point is, I want to explain to people that making content is something that I always try to encourage other people to do. I'm not saying you have to do it, but I'm saying you could. And you could start with a webcam and start with a microphone or whatever, and buy better equipment over time, span it over time. But what I think it's done for me helpful is it's definitely helped me in my communication with my family, with my wife. Our communications, I've noticed over the last couple of years, have highly increased because I've gotten better at just communicating. Like for a while there, she got mad at me and was like, why are you constantly talking to me like you're making a podcast? And that was like a thing. Like I was like, oh, this is how I think about it. And I would go on these monologues. And I realized I was like, oh, okay, there's the difference between, I talk a lot on YouTube, so this monologue voice is kind of happening a lot. And then when I'm talking to family members, it's not appropriate to have these like single-sided conversations for 2 hours. That's the thing. But my ability to try to like talk to her more specifically and describe things and being okay to pause for a second, that happens in real life. Like I'm sitting there and she's like, well, what do you think we should do with this? And I'll say, give me a second, let me think about that. And there's some silence, and that's okay. And sometimes I'll be like, I don't have an answer right now, but it's really important to me to come up with a good answer. Let me write it down. I want to make sure I don't forget this, because I often do. I'm going to spend some time thinking about this. I'm going to try to come up with a really good answer, do some research, and come back to you with a plan. And she's like, sounds great. And I'm like, whoa, there was no argument. There was no like back and forth. Which a lot of times in the past, like it would go that way. You know, we never had any like big fights, but from time to time we'd get emotionally upset about this and that and say things we didn't mean to say. That's happened. But I'm telling you, the last few years, it's not happened almost at all. And I think it's just I'm getting better at communicating at 40 years old. And it's like, dude, you guys are helping me. I don't know. It's like, is this like just Justin therapy session or something? Is that what content creation is? It's like, I'm just like thinking out loud that I don't know, but I do try to bring value, you know, like I'll make these content and, you know, do research, try to bring value into your day, entertainment into your day. You know, what's really hard though? What's really hard is to talk like this and read at the same time. It's super hard. I will tell you that. That's something I'm working on. It's really hard to like have these monologues and read. I try, but I'm not fully engaged, I'll admit. And I think that'll take a while. Matt Damon, he sings Scotty doesn't know in Euro Trip. See, I'm a little out of, if you want to make the world a better place, if you want to make a world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. Yeah, dude, I 100% believe that. I oftentimes will be in conversation with coworkers or my family, and I overanalyze things. That's what I do, but I think that makes me who I am. I don't think it's hurting anyone. Sometimes it's annoying, but I don't think it hurts anyone. I will notice that trend in people, myself as well. Where you'll take a position of being victimized, and I know that has like a political term to it, and I'm trying not to be political in any way, or controversial in any way, but I do believe that if there's a problem that challenges you, you making efforts to make that better is a positive direction. Does that make sense? So if there's something that's frustrating you, and it's burdening you, it's challenging you, and your tendency is to make that situation worse by escalating the problem with other people, it's probably not the best path to go down. A path that I try to reflect on, and it's hard, dude, it's hard, is I'm frustrated with this challenging situation that's happening. How do I bring positivity to that situation? Is it possible a joke could help? Is it possible doing a live stream where I'm sarcastic Justin for a while to kind of relieve some tension in the community? Now that was super meta. Going back to regular life, you know, there's different ways you can approach problems. But it feels as though the one that reduces the challenge and gets closer to solving the problem is one that's contributing to de-escalating the issue and trying to find peace while still communicating how you feel, while still articulating exactly what challenges you have with that situation and what you're struggling with. And I'm telling you, there's these two words that I learned this year that I've been using a lot. And my boss taught me this, actually. I just picked up on it. And it's challenge is in struggle. Those two words are super powerful. Like, you can use those in your speech. Like, I've been using them a lot because I work with my boss a lot. And we talk, like, literally last year, he said to me, Justin, you're a great developer. You're a great communicator. If you choose different words, you would be more effective at your job. If you reduced the amount of emotion that comes out in your meetings, you would be more effective. I'm like, okay, all right. How do I do that? He says, instead of saying like, I hate this, instead of saying, this is the worst idea ever, we should not do this, don't say that. Instead, say things like, here's the challenge that I see coming, and start describing your point of view. You're now sharing your point of view with other people, and you're trying not to make it about your feelings and your emotion. You're trying to use real data. You're trying to say, I think this change that we're proposing could have some challenges. And I think it would be a really good idea if we explore all the possibilities and see if there's a way to find a solution that doesn't have this challenge. And I've said that hundreds of times in the last year in meetings with other managers and my peers. And what immediately comes is, okay, well, how about this option? And it's like, whoa, wait, what? Everyone's starting to throw out different options? This is great. We're starting to have a great conversation. And then one person's like writing them down. They're like, what else we got? It was like all of a sudden, this huge tense meeting where I think everyone was about to scream and be like, this is horrible, which I was probably going to be the first one to start doing that, turned into a brainstorming session with a whole bunch of intelligent human beings trying to solve challenges. It's great. It's great. No. It's not wishy-washy. It's refocusing our energy towards, instead of saying that idea sucks, it's let's find better ideas. They mean the same thing. One is just being assaulting to someone, and one, I'm not saying passive aggressively, I'm saying one is leading them to the right path. And you can call it wishy-washy, MG. I'm calling you out on it because I think that's a crappy idea. No. I don't think I see what I did there. I was being sarcastic about the thing, and I was being the jerk and trying to prove to you that I don't even preach what I'm saying. That was a joke. See, that's what I do. No, I think what it is don't be wishy-washy, don't be passive aggressive, be very clear what you want things to go. And it's not about if you say your idea is bad, mine's better, you're going to lose the crowd. And they may end up going with the bad idea. And that's not what you want. Is that really what you want? But instead, if you get everyone else involved on solving the problem and you're shining the spotlight on the challenge that they're not seeing, everyone knows it was a crappy idea. You're just focusing on the challenge. But then, at least the group of people that I work with don't like unsolved problems. And so what you just did was you crowdsourced a set of people to agree with you because they're all now trying to work hard to satisfy your new requirements that you introduced. And so if you say that's a crap idea, all you're doing is offending all the people that you work with, and they're not going to want to help you solve the problem. So you just sound like a smart person, and they feel like crap. So that doesn't help anyone. So don't be wishy-washy. Don't be passive-aggressive. Be clear. Be clear with your high expectations that you want out of this situation. And invite them to help you contribute to solving those problems. And now you're not alone in just telling the world that everyone's an idiot. You've now invited a whole bunch of group of people to make the world better. And I'm saying it can work at a small scale, and I think it can work at a larger scale. I think, yeah, I mean, none of this really matters, right? Because we're going to hit, this is so true, Carl. Carl's like dropping some real truth bombs here. What Carl's talking about here is the fact that probably by 2030, we're going to hit the singularity, which is crazy because it was not just a couple years ago that we assumed the singularity was not going to be in our lifetime. But now it sounds like it will be. And what an exciting time to live in. So what Carl is talking about is probably true. It appears as though ChatGPT 3 and then 4 and 5 could be growing remember Moore's Law, the whole every 2 years technology will double? And that kind of appeared to have slowed down when you focus on memory and RAM or whatever. But technology is still growing, and availability of technology is still growing. But it appears as though the advancement of AI, and there's so many industries, so many people in the industry that are focused on this, that there's going to be leaps forward in like the next year and the next year and the next year. And if you haven't played with ChatGPT and you think that it's not intelligent, start asking it everyday questions and see what it comes up with. It is, if you learn how to prompt it, let me explain it this way. We all know how to Google, but we all had to be taught how to Google over time. We eventually learn how to make searches more accurate. You could search for things and get results that you want, but it took time. So let's analyze that for a second. What happened? What happened was you were trained on how to use Google, and Google changed over time, and you enhanced your ability to communicate with Google. Eventually, you started asking specifically Google what you wanted. You would say sentences like, "How do I tune a guitar?" And it would show you videos on how to tune a guitar. And Google kept on evolving with that technology. Now, ChatGPT is the same way. It's brand new. It, came out in December. And at first, people had to learn how to prompt ChatGPT. And what people have found is if you get better at asking the right questions, it will give you better answers. And then an interesting thing about ChatGPT is that version. This is kind of like the marketing side of ChatGPT. I think it's pretty interesting. That ChatGPT 3, they gave it the bar exam, and it could pass in the bottom 10 percentile. That's ChatGPT 3. Version 4, which 3 was out 2 years ago. We only got it. We only started testing it in the last couple months, but it's technology that's been out for a couple years. ChatGPT 4 is what they've learned in the last few months applied to it, but a different language model, a different enhancement, different ways of getting AI to work for us. And that one they tested, and it tested, had to do the bar exam, and it got the top 10 percentile. So that means that ChatGPT 3 has the likeness, at least when it comes to law, to be similar to humans that could pass the bar exam. It would be like among the bottom 10% graduates of the bar. That's where ChatGPT would sit, in that class. And ChatGPT 4 is in that upper class. So some say that the singularity, there's a lot of different definitions of singularity. And yes, I'm reading ChatGPT prompt right now to say everything I'm saying. That's how you know it's accurate. There's a point where technology grows and AI grows that it's above all charts. Basically, the intelligence of the AI is higher than anyone, higher than any human. Now think about that. It's crazy. So right now, we are verifying and we're like scrutinizing everything ChatGPT says. And yeah, its accuracy is not great because I know the better answer. And so I know when it's getting it wrong. Well, there's a certain point where it getting it wrong will lessen. And there's a point where getting it right will increase. And then there's a point where it knows more than us. Where we're the one that's always wrong. And it has taken all knowledge of human history, all written messages, all videos, everything you possibly could think of, and created a data language model that's been trained for years and years. And through simulations, it's almost like it's been trained for decades or centuries, or perhaps even the technology grows so quickly that it's almost like it's been trained for trillions of years, because computers work on a different wavelength than us, the different speed, and things that we wouldn't be able to understand within our lifetime, it can. That's the singularity. What does that mean for mankind? There's a lot of theories, but here's the crazy part. Some people believe that happens around 2030, which was always like, that's 500 years from now. That's 200 years from now. That's 50 years from now. And now they're like, that's 7 years from now. So we live in an interesting time where we're going to see accelerated growth in technology, and the next 7 years potentially, that the growth is so high, it will shock the world every year. And AI is appearing to be the thing that will. I mean, if it can double the technology, if it can double its ability to understand things in the next few years, more and more companies are going to trust it to make decisions. That's pretty funny, MG. They're gonna trust it to make more decisions. I already trust it to make a ton of decisions. My wife texts me that I sound like a jerk. She can hear everything I'm saying, so she's like, "You sound like you sound like a jerk." I was being a jerk definitely earlier in the show, but everyone, yeah. But see, here's the thing. Maybe it's maybe a perspective, a different point of view. Anyway, so yeah, it's an interesting thing about the AI technology. It's not like I trust it 100%, but I'm working on a lot of tools right now that are, I'm working on, there's this thing called GitHub Actions. So GitHub Actions is GitHub, Microsoft owns them. There's a whole set of GitHub Actions that allow you to do deployment, and I don't fully know the syntax. Well, it's written in YAML, and I can read it and understand it and write it, no big deal. But there's a lot of okay, what's the best plugin to use? Should I use this plugin or that plugin? And I can just describe to ChatGPT this is what I need it to do, and it'll fully write the script for me. And then I'm just troubleshooting, okay, can I install that plugin? Does that work with our infrastructure? So on and so forth. But it's pretty accurate. Whereas previously, here's the interesting thing about ChatGPT. Previously, in software engineering, you're constantly learning, right? Because there's constantly changing technology. The technology is constantly changing. So you have to continue learning to be able to understand all the technology. And one of the biggest ways to learn things in software engineering is Googling, right? You're like, what is the best practice for doing this and that? And you'll find a website, you'll read the article, and then you try to find references to the article. You start to see is this a common trend? Is what you're reading something that is well accepted among the communities? Is there a library behind that? How many people like this library? How many people use this library? There's how many people use this library every single week? So you're trying to get this, how reliable is it? That exists already. That's a part of everyday software engineering. You learning and growing and trying to understand the industry and what best practices is. You may watch YouTube videos, you may go to conferences, listen to talks, you may Google, you may do all that. And then you got to learn the syntax. You got to learn that API. You got to learn how to communicate with that library to get the best out of it and apply it to the problems that you have at your job. And then with ChatGPT, even 3.0, you can just ask it those questions and it will just start telling you the answers you need. And then if you go cross-reference them with the internet, it's often right. It's often accurate. So it's pretty cool. So I can be write me a script that does this entire build and deploy. I want it to cache at this level. I just start like I'm writing a ticket almost. I want it to do this. I want it to do that. And then I still have to read it, interpret it, change it, modify it, get it to do what I want it to do, learn. That's the key thing. I then learned from ChatGPT how that works. And then I didn't have to ask it again later. I now have retained that information. And so I see ChatGPT right now as a way to learn. It's a quick way to figure stuff out. It's like Google in a way. It's just 10 times better than Google because I just get the answer instead of reading 50 articles. And like, is this okay? Let me go to the next link. Let me go to the next link. Like, I'll do a Google search, and it's like, you know, when you go into Google, it'll like kind of gray out all the articles that you've read in that session. I'll be on the third page, and I've like read everything, and I don't even feel like I like really learned something. I asked ChatGPT a question, and I feel like I learned something. Yeah, this is interesting. The philosophy of why everything will be AI. It'll be exhausting. This is where ChatGPT like has this is where ChatGPT has faults. Like, it doesn't know everything. What it knows how to do is you can ask it for a recipe, and the recipe is probably going to be great. It'll give you instructions. It's getting that information from the internet. And we're all expecting Star Trek, and it's going to end up like Total Recall. That's funny. Oh my god. It's Console Fanboy. How's it going, man? I do use ChatGPT to learn some Linux command, and React.js stuff was very handy. That's right. Yeah, I've been doing, I've been challenging it. Like, so on one of the projects that I work on, I use React, and we use Material. So Material is Google's like design palette design pattern for like, it kind of makes your app kind of look like Android, or, you know, like Google themed. You get all the animations on it. And so on that app, we're using a public library that's pretty well documented. And so ChatGPT, you can be like, hey, build me a form. This is what I want it to do. I want it to look like this. You can describe it, and it'll do a great job. And ChatGPT 3, the only thing it messes up in that React app, like I've done it a few times recently, it's like basing it on the old Material library. There's some breaking changes. So mainly you go paste that code into your, you know, VS Code or whatever you're using. Like, all the import statements at the top are incorrect. And so you got to fix those. But then the rest of it's like pretty good. And another coworker showed me, he's working on a React app that's using Material. He's like, man, I needed to build a form for a database record. I want it to auto update when you click away. And it was like a progress bar. He like described exactly what he wanted in detail. And he said it was near copy and paste. But see, this is the thing. Retired night owl. By the way, I love you. It's you that's learning. You're learning how to prompt it. And I love that, because it actually is really cool for the software development lifecycle, right? You're like, okay, I have to think through these questions. What is it that I actually want? And then you ask it, and it's like, you just had to think through your problem. It's pretty cool. All right. It's almost midnight here. Thank you so much for a fun time, guys. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys coming out. And now I feel super guilty, because straight up a text from my wife, you sound like an a-hole. Wow. She can hear everything I'm saying. And see, this is why my wife is amazing. She keeps me in check. She's like, I'll probably go upstairs and be like, is that really who you want to be in life? What you want is to do live streams where in your live streams you're acting like a jerk. And I'll be like, no. I was a sarcastic Justin stream. She'd be like, yeah, that's what you said about console kits. And then you became him. If you continue being Justin, sarcastic Justin, you'll become him. There is no split personalities. There is only you. And if you continue to be a jerk and say it's a show, you will become that jerk. It's not possible. Even actors know this. If actors channel into the character, it affects you. How many actors have gone too far with their ability to get in to an act and they just kind of became that. It happens. So be careful. I mean, right? Yeah. You never go full. Yeah. Anyway, so I had fun just for humor. I hope everyone knows that. I love everybody. The alcohol is worn off, so you know I'm just being serious. I appreciate everyone coming and hang out. Support your fellow content creators. If you're interested in becoming a content creator, many people have reached out to me in the past, and I help them. I try to help them. I'm not perfect, but I do like to encourage other creators to make interesting content that will help you grow as a person, help you grow others, and help you help other people. If you're interested in becoming a content creator, please don't do it. It will consume you. This is fair. This is a fair assessment, I would say. But also, you have the ability to control the amount of effort you put into something. And if you can channel it towards bettering yourself, I'm not talking about financially, I'm talking about just straight up, can you leverage this opportunity, this technical opportunity that we have, to just, choose a skill that you're trying to get out of content creation. It could be, I want to be better at Photoshop. Every video gives you an opportunity to make thumbnails. I want to do better at editing. Every video you edit gives you an opportunity. I want to learn about sound equipment. I want to learn about editing equipment. I want to learn about all of that. Every video gives you that opportunity. I want to improve in my public speaking ability. I want to be able to look at a camera and not know what I'm going to say in the next 10 seconds, but make it sound like it's coming out fluently, but every now and then sound like a jerk. Every live stream that you do gives you that opportunity. You need a certain character to be a YouTube person, not for me. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Step 1, Monday, turning off Zoom mirror mode. Lesson learned. Great point. That's funny. Yeah, that'll probably be weird. It's an adjustment for sure. I will say this is weird, but like, when I switched that in Zoom, it was awkward. And I was like, why is it awkward? And it's because I'm used to seeing my background in my office the opposite way. But here, like, this is the way I'm used to seeing it when I look at it, the way you see it. And so there was like this, your brain, like, it's making all these impressions of like how the world looks. And it's like, we're really good at spotting differences. In fact, like, I think this is the premise of like there's an entire YouTube live stream I could do on Arcade1Up that's talking about how the fact that we have the ability to spot differences so well is one of the reasons why we hate Arcade1Up. Like, whenever they come out with a cabinet where we're like, that one thing is off, it's because we're spotting the difference and disliking that difference and then going, no. And if that change was for the better, we would spot that difference and then be like, yes. And that's happened before. We're really good at spotting the difference. And so, yeah, it's coming back to mirror mode. Like, you will spot the difference in the way you look has changed, but you get used to it, is my point. And then that will become the new normal. And then it's fine. And so people are not used to that change, I guess. Yeah, no screw caps, no buy. Anyway, I don't know why I'm still talking. Oh, it's midnight. I have to go now. It's a 2-hour live stream. Did I really make it 2 hours? I did make it to 2 hours, didn't I? Backing up. I don't even know where I'm at in this live stream software. I can't. Oh yeah. Whoa. I got 30 more seconds. It says I have 30 more seconds to hit 2 hours. So, all right, stick around with me. I see you dropping off. Don't drop off. You stick around with me until we hit this. Let's see if we can hit this. We got 15. We got 10 seconds, it says. On my side, it says we got 10 seconds. We're going to hit that 2 hour mark together, and we're going to feel it. It's going to feel good, and then everyone's going to say goodbye at exactly the same time. Are you ready? Say your goodbye in the chat right now, and we'll all hit enter at the same time. This is it, guys. Well, get ready. Say goodbye. All right, so I'm going to say goodbye, and you guys say goodbye, and then I end the stream. You guys have a good night. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another live stream. A lot of my friends are going to be live streaming as well. If you watch this on the replay, I love you too. I love you too, but I didn't get a chance to say it, because you watched, later. Anyway, we'll see you guys. We're going to cover the auction. We're going to have a great time, and I'm going to try to bring it, and I'm going to work on my public speaking skills. And you give me feedback and be like, Justin, I saw you saying crappy words over and over again. I caught you. Level up your public speaking skills, and I'll try. I'll try. See you guys. Take care.